Let's begin the lesson by defining our goal as well as a couple of key terms. Our goal here is to find the value of the variable in the equation that will make both sides of the equation true. The variable is what we must separate from the rest of the equation, whether it is x, y, or any other letter. Sometimes in front of the variable there will be a coefficient. It is the number in front of the variable, such as in the case of 3x, 3 is the coefficient. When trying to find our variable, we must divide by that coefficient to eliminate it. When solving our equations for our variables, it may be necessary to use any four of our math operations. They include addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Any four of these operations may be necessary when trying to separate our variable to find our answer. Let's begin with a pretty simple equation. 4x minus 3 is equal to 9. Here all we have to do is add 3 on both sides of the equation. So that leaves us with 4x is equal to 12. Now to get x by itself. Let's just divide by 4 on both sides. Dividing by 4, we are left with x is equal to 3. Plug it back into the original equation. 4 times 3 is equal to 12, minus 3 is equal to 9. We checked our solution and we are correct. Let's now work with an equation that is just a bit more work. 4x minus 7 is equal to 2x plus 3 minus 5. Let's begin on the right side by combining the positive 3 and the negative 5, which then leaves us on the right side with 2x minus 2. And on the left side, 4x minus 7. Let's now add 7 on both sides to get the 4x by itself. Adding 7 on both sides, we then get 4x is equal to 2x plus 5. Let's now subtract 2x on both sides. This combines the x's and gives us 2x is equal to 5. Now to get x by itself, let's divide by 2. Dividing by 2 on both sides, we are then left with x is equal to 5 halves. We can also use our equation solving skills to solve applications as well. We know the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. So, given an area of 20 inches squared and a base of 10 inches, we have 20 inches squared is equal to 1/2 10 inches times the height. On the right side, we can multiply 1/2 times 10, and that leaves us with 5 inches. Multiplied by the height is equal to the area 20 inches squared. Now let's divide by 5 inches on both sides. When we do that, we now have our height. It is equal to 20 inches squared divided by 5 inches, which is 4 inches. When solving inequalities, the same strategies are used as those of solving equations. When you divide by a negative when solving an inequality, you must flip the sign. For example, in a problem with a greater than or equal to sign, if you were to divide by a negative, the sign would have to change to a less than or equal to sign. Let's start with a fairly simple inequality. 3x minus 7 is greater than or equal to 5. To get the 3x by itself, let's first add 7 on both sides of the inequality. Adding 7 on both sides, we are then left with 3x is greater than or equal to 12. Now we want to get just plain x by itself, so we divide by 3 on both sides. Dividing by 3, we are left with x is greater than or equal to 4, and that is our answer. Let's now work with an inequality that requires us to do just a little bit more thinking. Negative 4x plus 5 is greater than or equal to x minus 3 minus 2. First on the right side, let's combine the negative 3 and the negative 2, which leaves us on the right side with x minus 5, and on the left side, negative 4x plus 5. Now let's subtract 5 on both sides to get the negative 4x on the left by itself. Subtracting 5 on both sides, we're left with negative 4x is greater than or equal to x minus 10. Now let's get the x's together, so let's subtract an x on both sides. Doing this, we're left with negative 5x is greater than or equal to negative 10. Our goal here is to get x by itself, so let's divide by a negative 5 now on both sides. Because we divide by a negative, our greater than or equal to sign now switches to a less than or equal to sign. So our final answer is x is less than or equal to 2. My hope is that through this lesson you become much more confident in your equation solving abilities, and I leave you with just a few key concepts to remember. First, when solving inequalities, if you divide by a negative, you always want to change the sign. Also, what is done on one side of an equation or an inequality must be done on the other side. And finally, just remember, you always want to find x or whatever variable you are asked to find. If you can do that, you will have your answer. Thank you.